Welcome to this educational video. Today we're taking a closer look at ecstasy, what it is, how it affects the human body, and why scientific research warns strongly against its use. This content is created for informational and educational purposes only. It is not meant to promote, encourage, or normalize the use of any substance. Instead, its goal is to help viewers understand the real physiological and psychological effects behind a drug that is often misunderstood or misrepresented. Ecstasy may appear harmless in social settings, but scientific evidence shows that it can disrupt the brain's chemistry, weaken the body's natural systems, impair memory, and lead to long-term emotional challenges. Because of the risks associated with heart function, temperature regulation, and serotonin imbalance, experts emphasize that using ecstasy can have serious and lasting consequences. By learning how this substance works and understanding the dangers behind it, viewers can make informed decisions that protect their health and well-being. Let's begin our exploration with a clear look at what ecstasy is and what it contains. Ecstasy, known scientifically as MDMA, 3,4-methylene-deoxymethamphetamine, is a synthetic compound created more than a century ago during research into new chemical formulas. For decades, it stayed unnoticed until therapists in the 1970s explored whether it could enhance communication during emotional counseling. However, by the 1980s, MDMA shifted from small clinical environments into nightlife, festivals, and social gatherings. This change led to its widespread use, often without awareness of its real properties or risks. Most ecstasy sold today appears as colorful tablets, capsules, or crystalline powder. The appearance varies widely because it is not produced in controlled scientific conditions. Many samples tested worldwide contain only partial amounts of MDMA or are mixed with other stimulating or mood-altering compounds. These additives may change the intensity, duration, and safety profile of the substance. In some regions, up to half of the tablets contain additional chemicals intended to increase energy or alter the experience. The core component, MDMA, belongs to a group of compounds that create both stimulating and perception-altering effects. Unlike purely stimulating substances, MDMA produces emotional openness, increased sensory awareness, and temporary shifts in perception. These effects occur because MDMA interacts with the brain's chemical messengers responsible for mood, bonding, motivation, and stress responses. Understanding what ecstasy contains and why it produces such strong emotional effects is the first step in assessing both its appeal and its risks. Part 2. How ecstasy acts on the brain's chemistry. Once MDMA enters the bloodstream, it quickly reaches the brain and interacts with several neurotransmitters, especially serotonin. Serotonin is central to regulating emotional balance, sleep, appetite, memory, and overall well-being. MDMA causes nerve cells to release unusually large amounts of serotonin all at once. This sudden surge produces the characteristic feelings of warmth, emotional closeness, empathy, elevated mood, and increased sociability. But MDMA does not stop there. It also affects dopamine, which is involved in motivation and the brain's reward pathways. Elevated dopamine levels reinforce the experience, making the emotional effects feel strong and memorable. At the same time, MDMA increases norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter associated with alertness and physical readiness. This causes the heart to beat faster and blood pressure to rise. MDMA also blocks the natural reuptake process that normally removes serotonin after it has been released. Instead of being recycled, serotonin remains in the synapses longer than normal. This overstimulation heightens the emotional experience, but also exhausts the brain's natural reserves. The brain then needs time, sometimes days, to rebuild its supply, which is one reason for the emotional drop that some users experience afterward. Scientific research using PET and MRI imaging shows that repeated exposure to MDMA can reduce the density of serotonin transporters, which are crucial for regulating emotion and impulse control. This means the brain may have difficulty restoring balance after repeated use, leading to long-term mood instability in some individuals. Part 3. Immediate physical effects on the body. While ecstasy's psychological effects are well known, the physical effects on the body are just as important to understand. MDMA stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for the fight or flight response. This leads to increased heart rate, higher blood pressure, dilated pupils, and elevated body temperature. Many users describe feeling energetic or physically restless. This is why MDMA is frequently used in environments involving prolonged movement, such as concerts or dance events. However, this increase in physical activity can intensify the drug's effects on body temperature. MDMA reduces the body's ability to regulate heat, meaning that extended exertion can push body temperature dangerously high. Other common effects include jaw tension, teeth grinding, sweating, dehydration, and sensitivity to light and sound. Because MDMA affects hormones related to water balance, users may also feel unusually thirsty. In busy or hot environments, this can lead to dehydration. On the other hand, drinking excessive amounts of water without electrolytes can dilute sodium levels in the blood, creating another dangerous condition. Some people experience nausea, dizziness, blurred vision, or muscle cramps as MDMA begins to take effect. These reactions vary depending on dose, purity, environment, and individual health. While many effects are temporary, they indicate that the body is under stress, and repeated physical or strain can create long-term health consequences. Part 4. Serotonin depletion and mood changes. One of the most important physiological effects of MDMA is serotonin depletion. Since the drug releases large amounts of serotonin at once, the brain temporarily loses its ability to maintain emotional balance after the effects wear off. Serotonin is not replenished instantly. It may take days for the brain to restore normal levels. This temporary drop can lead to feelings of sadness, irritability, or emotional sensitivity. Some individuals describe a come down, marked by low energy, reduced motivation, and difficulty experiencing pleasure. Others may feel anxious or emotionally unstable for a day or two. These effects are not caused by external events, but by the brain working to restore chemical equilibrium. Over time, repeated serotonin depletion may affect emotional health. Studies show that individuals who use MDMA frequently may experience long-term changes in mood regulation, such as persistent low mood, decreased stress tolerance, or increased sensitivity to emotional triggers. Researchers believe this happens because serotonin-producing nerve terminals may be damaged after repeated overstimulation. This role of serotonin is central. It helps regulate sleep cycles, appetite, memory formation, and social bonding. When serotonin levels are repeatedly disrupted, everyday tasks and relationships can be impacted. This is why scientists emphasize that MDMA's emotional high is followed by physiological adjustments that can temporarily or permanently affect emotional well-being. Part 5. Cognitive effects and memory impairment. Scientific studies consistently show that MDMA can affect cognitive performance, especially when used repeatedly. Serotonin plays a crucial role in memory formation and learning. When serotonin systems are stressed or damaged, the ability to store and recall information can be diminished. Long-term users often report difficulties with short-term memory, such as trouble recalling recent conversations, forgetting schedules, or losing track of tasks. Laboratory studies confirm these subjective reports. People with long-term MDMA exposure show slower reaction times, reduced attention span, and challenges in complex problem solving. MRI scans have revealed functional changes in brain regions related to memory, such as the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. These areas are responsible for organizing thoughts, focusing attention, and managing emotional reactions. When these regions do not function optimally, decision-making and learning can suffer. In some individuals, these cognitive changes improve over time after stopping use, suggesting at least partial recovery. However, in others, the effects may linger. Scientists believe this variation results from differences in dosage, frequency, genetic factors, and overall brain health. While occasional use may not lead to severe cognitive decline, the risk increases substantially with repeated exposure. Part 6. Effects on the cardiovascular system. MDMA significantly affects the cardiovascular system. By increasing norepinephrine levels, the drug places the body into a state of heightened alertness. This causes the heart to work harder, pumping blood faster to support increased activity. For healthy individuals, this spike may feel like excitement or physical stimulation. However, the increased strain can be dangerous, especially for people with existing heart conditions or hidden cardiovascular vulnerabilities. Research has shown that MDMA can cause arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats, which may go unnoticed but can escalate into serious complications. Blood pressure also rises under the influence of MDMA. For some people, especially those with high blood pressure or vascular problems, this increase can put strain on the heart and blood vessels. Scientific literature documents rare cases where extreme physical exertion combined with MDMA contributed to cardiovascular collapse. Additionally, MDMA affects blood vessel function. It constricts blood vessels in some areas while increasing circulation in others. This imbalance can place stress on organs that rely on consistent blood flow, such as the kidneys and liver. Understanding these cardiovascular effects is essential, as they highlight that ecstasy is not only a psychological stimulant, but also a compound that challenges the body's vital systems. Part 7. Body temperature regulation and hyperthermia. One of the most scientifically documented dangers of MDMA use is the risk of hyperthermia, an unusually high body temperature. MDMA interferes with the brain's ability to regulate heat. As a result, the body can overheat even in environments that would normally feel comfortable. Physical activity combined with MDMA increases this risk significantly. At crowded events, people may dance for hours, surrounded by high heat and little ventilation. Because the drug increases both energy and the sensation of pleasure, individuals may ignore early warning signs of overheating. When body temperature rises too high, the body's internal processes begin to fail. Proteins break down, organs struggle to function, and the cardiovascular system becomes strained. If not addressed quickly, extreme hyperthermia can lead to dangerous outcomes. Another complication is dehydration. Since MDMA increases sweating while simultaneously interfering with thirst perception, people may not hydrate appropriately. Conversely, some may drink excessive water without electrolytes, which can dilute sodium levels. Both situations are dangerous and have been recorded in medical reports around the world. Hyperthermia is one of the strongest examples of how MDMA's physiological effects extend far beyond emotional or sensory changes. The drug's impact on heat regulation can overwhelm the body in ways that are not instantly noticeable. Part 8. Long-term health. Consequences. Long-term repeated exposure to MDMA is associated with several physiological and psychological changes. Research on frequent users shows measurable alterations in serotonin systems. These changes may contribute to persistent mood issues, memory deficits, reduced impulse control, and reduced ability to experience pleasure naturally. Long-term MDMA exposure may also affect sleep quality. Since serotonin plays a major role in stabilizing sleep cycles, repeated disruptions can lead to insomnia, irregular sleep patterns, and vivid or unsettling dreams. Another area of concern is the liver. Some medical reports show that frequent exposure to MDMA can cause liver stress, inflammation, or in rare cases, severe liver dysfunction. This risk increases when MDMA is combined with alcohol or other substances, which also require liver processing. There are also concerns about the immune system. Some studies show that MDMA can temporarily weaken immune response, making the body more vulnerable to infections during the recovery period after use. While not everyone experiences long-term consequences, the scientific evidence indicates that frequent exposure increases the likelihood of lasting cognitive, emotional, and physical effects. These risks highlight the importance of understanding MDMA as more than just a short-term experience. Part 9. Psychological dependency and social impact. Although MDMA is not considered physically addictive in the traditional sense, it can still create a pattern of psychological dependence. The emotional intensity of the experience, feelings of connection, warmth, and happiness, can become something users try to repeat. Over time, this desire can lead to increased frequency of use. Repeated exposure can reduce the brain's natural ability to feel pleasure. This creates a cycle in which individuals seek MDMA to achieve emotional states that once occurred naturally. Scientists describe this as a disruption of the reward system, where the brain becomes less responsive to everyday sources of motivation or joy. Social impact is another concern. People who frequently use MDMA may begin to rely on the substance for emotional bonding or social confidence. Over time, this can damage relationships or create distance from people who do not share the same habits. Emotional instability during come-downs can affect work, school, and personal responsibilities. Irritability, fatigue, and low motivation may make daily tasks difficult. While not everyone develops problematic patterns, psychological dependence is real and supported by scientific research. Part 10. Scientific summary of disadvantages and final notes. To summarize the scientifically documented disadvantages of ecstasy. Serotonin depletion leads to emotional instability, mood swings, and reduced emotional resilience. Cognitive impairment can affect memory, learning, and decision-making. Cardiovascular strain increases heart rate, blood, pressure, and the risk of arrhythmias. Hyperthermia is one of the most serious risks and can cause organ damage. Dehydration or water imbalance may occur because MDMA alters thirst and hormone regulation. Psychological dependence may develop as individuals chase the emotional effects. Long-term brain changes have been observed in frequent users, especially involving serotonin systems. Possible liver stress may occur with repeated exposure. Interference with sleep cycles may impact focus, mood, and long-term health. The purpose of this script is educational, to help viewers understand what ecstasy is, how it affects the brain and body, and why scientific research highlights genuine risks. Awareness supports informed decisions, encourages caution, and promotes long-term well-being. Thank you for watching this educational deep dive into ecstasy, its effects on the human body, and the scientifically documented risks associated with its use. Understanding how this substance disrupts brain chemistry, strains vital organs, and affects long-term emotional and cognitive health is essential for making informed and responsible choices. Remember, the purpose of this video is purely informational. It is not meant to encourage experimentation or normalize any dangerous behavior. The safest choice will always be to avoid using substances that can harm your mind, your body, and your future. If you found this information helpful, consider sharing it so others can learn about the real consequences behind these compounds. Stay informed, stay aware, and take care of your health.